So about 7 years ago, I was working as a nanny for about 2 years, and it was 3 days a week, and it was fantastic because when I wasn't working, I was able to pursue things that I was really interested in. I was saving up for a master's in broadcast production, which is what I do now. I work in TV and film. But for the last 7 months, I'd say, of working as a nanny, I got very sick, and I didn't tell anybody that I was sick because of the symptoms, I suppose, that I had, which involved poo. And people don't like to talk about it. I was going to the toilet a lot, and I just kept it a secret, And this isn't after a bad night and a bad curry kind of poo. This was in the 20s. I was going to the toilet over 20 times a day and still keeping that a secret from my friends and family. And I was losing loads of weight, so I was happy with all the compliments I was getting at the same time. But I got to the point where I said, I think I have to go to the doctor about this. And I went to the doctor, and I was really happy. The 3 girls that I was minding, they were angels, and I loved them to bits. And I was very happy in my job, and I'm happy that I was able to pursue things in the evenings. When I went to the doctor told me that it was psychosomatic, and that I was quite, quite stressed, and I was kind of causing it myself by being an anxious person. And, I wasn't really happy with that, but then I accepted it, and the doctor put me on antidepressants and gave me Xanax, and I went on my way. And then I decided I need to try and fix myself. So I took control, and I started with sleep hypnosis. I thought that would relax me. But really, I was stressed out about going to the toilet all the time. There was absolutely nothing else in my life that was stressing me out. So it was this vicious circle. I started the sleep hypnosis, and I would listen to that at night time, and that was grand. It annoyed my boyfriend, but it was fine, getting relaxed. Then I decided to go and do some sensory deprivation, and I went into a sensory deprivation tank, which in hindsight was a terrible idea. Because the doctor told me that my thoughts were causing these troubles. So I went into a room in my swimming togs, lay down in salty water, put earplugs in and a blindfold on, and just sat alone with my own thoughts for an hour. And then the last thing was I decided to do yoga. I thought this would relax me. And not just yoga, hot yoga. In my head, boiling hot yoga. And I did this during my break. So as a nanny, I would bring the girls to school in the morning, and then I'd have about 3 hours, because they were in play school and school, and their mother asked me if I'd just hang around for those few hours, because they worked kind of down the country. And so I pretty much had 3 hours to do what I want, and I said, this is the time where I'm going to heal myself. And I went to hot yoga, and I fainted within 15 minutes. And I was sweating buckets. So I came back to the house, and the house where the girls lived, and I had a cold shower. And when I was in the shower, I felt a bit faint. So I sat down, and I turned that shower into a bath. And I filled that bath up to the brim. This is peak water protest time as well, you have to remember. And I sent a picture of my feet in the bath to my boyfriend and said, "No way, we won't pay." And I sat back and I relaxed and I calmed down and I got all the heat out of me. And then I got up and I was drying myself off and I pulled the plug out of the sinkhole. And within about 30 seconds of that happened, the house alarm started going off. So I ran downstairs in my towel, turned off the house alarm, and I got a call from the mother. I just got a call from Aircom Phone Watch. The house alarm's going off there now. Sorry, Cleena, I came in there and I forgot the code and I put it in wrong and it was my fault. That's grand. I went back upstairs and, put on my clothes. Then the smoke alarm started going off. I ran downstairs, turned it off again, get another call from the mother saying, sorry, I'm after getting a call again from Aircom Phone Watch. The smoke alarm is going off now, apparently. Again, I put in the wrong code. I don't know what's going on. I think there's been a cutout or whatever. I don't know what's going on. Then the alarm went off again. This time both alarms going off. So there was a fire and we were getting burgled. But I hadn't located either. The third time I ran downstairs, and as I was running through the hall, I slipped in the hall on a massive pool of water that had started to form. And I looked up, and parts of the ceiling were falling down. There was basically, they had never put so much water in the bath before. And I highlighted the fact that there was a crack in the sinkhole. And I flooded the house, essentially. But I didn't want to tell them about it just yet. I thought, I can fix this. So I rang my boyfriend crying, and he was laughing his head off. Just going from the last message I had texted him from the bath. A moment of calm. And I was like, please, like, there's so much stuff going on here. Like, the ceiling is coming down. Can you get in touch with Adon? Like, Adon's my friend who's a plumber. It's like, I'm sure he knows a lad who's a plasterer as well. I get them all in, because they weren't due home until 7 o'clock in the evening. I was willing to hire 7 lads to come in and fix this house before the mother and father came home. And my boyfriend at the time just after he finished laughing for about 5 minutes, just said, just tell them what happened. And I was like, oh, but then I have to tell them I was having a bath, you know? I'm not meant to be having a bath and I'm minding the kids. And I rang my boss and the mother, and I thought that she was going to eat the head of me, but she didn't. And she was very, very kind and said, I'm glad that this has happened now, because it was coming up to Christmas. And she said, I'm glad it's happened now. It would have happened a few weeks down the line and probably ruined our Christmas. And then within about 3 weeks of this happening, I got so sick that I had to be brought into hospital, and I spent about 6.5 weeks in hospital then. And I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So I was riddled with ulcers all over my body. And getting the diagnosis was a bit scary, but I was happy that it had a name now, and I was glad that I finally was getting help. And if you can take anything from this, it would be, don't try and fix things yourself, and never trust a fart.